boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Oscar De La Hoya has sent a message to Virgil Ortiz's manager, Rick Mirigian. As our lawyers have made clear, you don't negotiate for Virgil's fights. I do. While you run your mouth, I'm the one actually fighting for Virgil to be the A-side and get the maximum possible for this fight. I'm negotiating with Eddie Hearn and DAZN to make this fight happen, and will continue to fight for Virgil in those negotiations. You need to get out of the way, making it all the more obvious that it was in fact Rick Mirigian Oscar was referring to in his cryptic message 3 days ago about managers attempting to negotiate backdoor deals in violation of the Muhammad Ali Act. It's a very strange setup when you think about what Oscar said, that he is the only one entitled to negotiate deals on Virgil Ortiz's behalf, which would then beg the question, what's Rick Mirigian's job? Because ideally, that's what he's supposed to be doing. A fighter's manager is intended to act as a buffer between the fighter and the promoter, acting on the fighter's behalf, in the fighter's best interests. Because sometimes what's good for the promoter ain't what's good for the fighter. The manager is intended to sort through it, read through the legalese, and protect the fighter. But if Oscar De La Hoya, who promotes Virgil, is the only one entitled to negotiate on his behalf, then what the hell does Virgil need from Rick Mirigian? Beats me. Whatever Rick Mirigian gets, he gets out of the fighters' purses. Though if he's not the one negotiating on behalf of the fighters, if the promoter is doing that, then what the hell do you need from him? These two separate parties that are at odds with each other, though both part of the same team, Team Ortiz. The other day it was Oscar De La Hoya that said he would do the fight at 60-40. And before that it was Rick Mirigian who was demanding $10 million to do the fight. So to me, these both seem like two sides of the same coin. Both asserting A-side status, that Virgil is the A-side over Boots. Now let's make this clear that I don't expect this fight to happen next, and I never did. So all this hullabaloo is much ado about nothing. But I find it quite comical that these guys have already decided Virgil has to be the A-side over Boots Ennis, when right now, in Atlantic City, the site of what was Boots versus Stanionis, they're celebrating that fight generating $1.9 million in the region. Big money from boxing. By my count, Jaron Ennis has sold about 10,000 tickets on two separate occasions in his native Philadelphia, generated $1.9 million in Atlantic City. Those are his numbers. What are Virgil's that he's supposed to be the A-side over him? Is Virgil putting up numbers like that? And you know the answer. Virgil's fun to watch. He's a fan-friendly fighter for the most part, but that doesn't make him the A-side over Jaron Ennis, and I can't think of any quantifiable metric that would suggest that being the A-side is a numbers game. I just get the sense that Virgil and his team, whether you're talking about Oscar or you're talking about Rick, are deliberately making things difficult because they don't want to make this fight right now, and not at this price. When Turkey was going to pay for it, they may have been willing to do it because Turkey pays well above market value to do a fight. But now that he's not involved, yesterday's price is not today's price. As to not spend a whole lot of time on it, I never thought this fight was going to be next. I don't think it's going to be next now. Irrespective of the rift between Rick Mirigian and Oscar De La Hoya, we're not going to get a fight out of this. Not dissimilar from the rift we saw between Lupe Valencia and Oscar De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia's manager. Oscar was at odds with them too, making this a familiar theme. It seems like Oscar is always at odds with somebody within his own circle. What is it that Rick Mirigian thinks that Oscar is not in agreement with? What is it that Oscar thinks that Rick doesn't agree with? What fucking difference does it make? We're not gonna get this fight next. We know that this is a fight that DAZN applied some pressure on the powers that be to put together, which is interesting because Goldenboy Promotions is set to be out of contract right now. Per veteran boxing scribe Dan Raphael and his sources, while Goldenboy and DAZN have been discussing an extension of their rights deal, the contract between them expired nearly 3 months ago, and Friday's Rocha Curiel event is a one-off. there are no other Goldenboy events scheduled beyond Friday. Barrios versus Garcia is Turkey's event, which explains why it's on schedule and it's happening on the platform. Many felt during these negotiations between Team Boots and Team Ortiz that it was in Goldenboy's best interests to deliver that fight if they wished to continue on the platform. That as of late, DAZN has not been happy with their content offering, and they need to work a bit harder to smooth things over. Think about it. What's the biggest and best fight Goldenboy's delivered to the DAZN platform? In recent memory, it seems like the strength of DAZN's content really lies with Matchroom and now Queensbury. What is their heavyweight stable but Goldenboy? What's the biggest and best fight Goldenboy's delivered to the DAZN platform? You know that Goldenboy Promotions has been on the DAZN platform for 7 or 8 years now, close to 10. It's been that long. They migrated over there in 2018 after HBO left the sport of boxing. And when they started out, their ace in the hole was Canelo Alvarez, their strongest bargaining chip. But we all know what happened. He separated from them. So think about it. After they lose Canelo Alvarez, what's the biggest and best fight they delivered to that platform? And don't say Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis, because they had to share that. Didn't even get the lion's share. Ryan wasn't the A-side in those negotiations. But when you think about Goldenboy Promotions' content offering to the platform, it's a lot weaker than Matchroom's. It's even weaker than Queensbury's, even though they've been there longer than Queensbury. It's not really saying they never put on a decent show, but they're not the driving force behind DAZN's metrics, DAZN's numbers, that their cards only generate so much. So the story is, Goldenboy is now out of contract, and they have been for the last 3 months. They're attempting to renegotiate a deal. Why should DAZN even keep them on board? I can think of at least one. It's something that Oscar De La Hoya said, that he means to do a lot more business with the PBC moving forward. You will notice that the PBC themselves don't have anything on schedule, nothing on the calendar. I don't even know if Prime Video still is in boxing. And the only active PBC boxers in circulation are staying active on other people's shows because they're being outsourced. So what if Oscar De La Hoya uses this to his advantage to funnel those PBC fighters over to DAZN, like David Benavidez, for example, and what's supposed to be his fight with Zurdo Ramirez, like Mario Barrios, for example, and what is his announced fight with Ryan Garcia. You can say that Goldenboy and PBC worked on that fight together, but on paper, it's not a PBC show. Amazon Prime isn't involved. It's being distributed by DAZN exclusively. What if Oscar De La Hoya can deliver the DAZN platform an entire assembly line of fights just like that one? Garcia versus Barrios, Garcia versus Romero 2, Virgil Ortiz versus Sebastian Fundora, David Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez. That would, in effect, strengthen their content offering, wouldn't it? Where before Goldenboy's cards didn't really move the needle, they might moving forward, since they now include so many PBC fighters. PBC might feel so inclined to play ball if they're all out of fight dates on Amazon Prime and they have all these fighters to accommodate, they'll make them accessible to Goldenboy Promotions. As stated, we're about 2.5 weeks into the new year, and PBC doesn't have anything scheduled on Prime. So on that premise, they may rent out their fighters to Goldenboy, thereby strengthening Goldenboy's content offering. So it could smooth things over for Goldenboy, not delivering Boots versus Ortiz, delivering all these other fights. That might be enough for DAZN to stay with them, keep them on board. DAZN's price is going up. Now's not necessarily a good time to thin out the herd, as it were, thin out your catalog, when you're charging people more and more money to use your platform. Can't tell you how many people I've seen the last few months say that they've terminated their DAZN subscription because, put simply, it costs too much. So you're charging people more money, but providing less content. That if you kicked Goldenboy off the platform, you'd be charging people more for less. Now, I'm not telling you that Goldenboy's cards are a driving force for metrics on the platform. Perhaps they're not, but it's still not a good look. It's still not good optics that you're charging people more and more while providing less. So what could salvage this relationship is a stronger content offering from Goldenboy Promotions via their newfound alliance with the PBC to deliver those fighters and those fights to DAZN. We'll see what happens, or what doesn't. Men's super lightweight news. WBO champion Teofimo Lopez says no one is like Shakur Stevenson. That makes the fight exciting. Teofimo realizes that Shakur is one of one. Just how stiff the test will be remains to be seen as they move closer to their January 31st tilt to headline the Ring 6 card at Madison Square Garden in New York. Lopez, the Ring and WBO junior welterweight champion, will try to stave off Stevenson, the WBC lightweight champion and number 8 ranked pound-for-pound fighter who's on a quest to become a 4-weight world champion. They had to bring a lightweight to try and dethrone Teofimo because they had no other options. What I am is far better and greater than what they know, Lopez told reporters. This means everything to me. Shakur is another fighter and another column to add to my pedigree. I'm thankful and I want more. He says they had to get a lightweight to try to beat him. As I recall, they got you Devin Haney, and you walked away from the fight. No one is like Shakur Stevenson, and that's what makes the fight even more exciting. Lopez said he's been recruiting sparring partners who both move around and stay in the pocket during camp. Lopez said he's focusing on working on his range, distance, and establishing a comfort zone to be even more capable for the clash. It's strange to see Teofimo all of a sudden lavish compliments on Shakur, where before he said the guy's no good and he would never fight him. But now he's so special. Now he's so unique. But not that long ago, when he was on the Let's Talk About It podcast with Cameron Giles and Mason Betta, he was trashing Shakur. So what changed his mind? The money. The money His Excellency put up to make this fight a reality. My best attribute in my skill set is my footwork, said Lopez. I'm looking forward to seeing how much I am going to develop going against a fighter like him, and what I learned from my previous fights. Lopez has been victorious in convincing fashion the previous 2 times he's been projected to lose, when he beat Vasyl Lomachenko in 2020 and Josh Taylor in 2023. Odds makers favor Stevenson by a long stretch this time around too. Stevenson is a negative 295 betting favorite compared to the plus 225 underdog Lopez, according to DraftKings. According to Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson's old buddy, his evaluation of the fight.
We had T.O. here on The Last Stand, and he said, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to stop Shakur Stevenson. I've studied him. I know everything that he likes to do, and I'm going to make it a dog fight, and we'll stop him.
So basically exactly what I said. So after the first 2 rounds, as they fill each other out, Shakur going to win those 2 rounds. And then he's going to try to start stepping on the gas. And then, hey, he might run into some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like think about the Brian Norman fight where Brian Norman just kept saying, oh, Devin got nothing for him. And, I got all the power. And then boom, Devin drops him and the whole fight just turns. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if Corey drops him. And then it'd be another it'd be like a fight like a Cambosis versus a T.O. You understand what I'm saying? Like Shakur just boxing the shit out of him and then boom, he drops him. You know what I'm saying? So I just think Shakur mentally is there, but his IQ is just on a whole other level. And I'm happy for Shakur because he finally get to show it in this fight.
Lopez, however, is confident the fight will go his way and that a sequel won't be required. There is no rematch clause, said Lopez. There's no need for it. We risk it all the time. We've been ready to fight for a long time, and we're here now. The matchup could also mark Lopez's last dance at 140, a division he's competed in since 2022. All the roads lead to a bigger fight between WBO welterweight champion Devin Haney and me, said Lopez. Let's see who we get after this. So for Teofimo to keep those big Saudi bags coming in, that is the kind of fight he has to target. After this, if he emerges victorious, it makes a lot of sense to finally fight Devin. When you think about it, there's actually more backstory. He actually has more history with Devin than he has with Shakur. When you think about it. And when you think about it, subtle differences aside, the fight with Shakur Stevenson would be a good rehearsal for a Devin Haney fight. Now, I understand that Shakur leads with the right, whereas Devin leads with the left, but they're both pure boxers. There are similarities there that make one fight a good rehearsal, good preparation for the other on the presupposition that Teofimo Lopez wins. I don't think he's going to.
But those are his plans if he does. I've said it in many videos already. I'll say it again. I have Shakur Stevenson beating Teofimo Lopez. Stylistically, I feel like this fight is all wrong for Teofimo, who's normally the athletic one.
His coordination, his movement, his reflexes, and to some degree his power are all areas of strength for Teofimo, normally, but Shakur is coordinated, Shakur can move, Shakur's got speed.
Where Teofimo Lopez has power,
Shakur has defense to neutralize that power. Better defense, I think, than Teofimo. Shakur Stevenson would never get caught with an overhand shot like the one that Teo got caught with in the George Kambosos fight, the one that dropped him. In a lot of ways, this is the biggest fight of Shakur Stevenson's career so far. This could be his coming out party, depending on how it goes, though it's not enough just to win, to coast to a victory.
Shakur Stevenson's fights already don't offer up much in terms of drama.
Save maybe the last one with William Zepeda, and the only reason that fight looked the way that it looked was because of William. I'm saying that because this is the biggest fight of Shakur Stevenson's career, on the biggest stage and likely for the most money, it's not enough to just win. You want to put a stamp on it.
This will be the biggest name on Shakur Stevenson's resume. Bigger than Jamel Herring, bigger than Oscar Valdez.
This will be the most accomplished fighter on his resume too. For the longest time, Shakur Stevenson's name was attached to a potential Gervonta Davis fight that I told you year after year would never see the light of day.
And it never will.
In an ideal world, that would have been the ideal proving ground for Shakur Stevenson at 135. Here at 140, this will have to suffice. This will have to do. Sends a very strong message if you can stay in character and still look skilled against somebody like Teofimo Lopez.
What about Teofimo giving him all these compliments? All of a sudden lavishing praise on him. What's that about?
That's nerves, man. That's Teofimo shrinking in the moment as the fight date approaches, because before, you had nothing but bad things to say about this guy. But now that you're fighting him...
Starting to feel a bit different?
Oh, now he's not so bad, huh? That you have to make all the preparations to deal with him at the end of the month. You want my honest opinion?
That's nerves, man.
There's nothing wrong with being nervous ahead of a big fight, by the way. I mean, he's only human. But piping up and shooting off at the mouth, as much as he has about that fighter, about Shakur Stevenson.
Also remember that a lot of the stuff that Teofimo said was unprovoked. It wasn't because of anything Shakur said or anything Shakur did. It seemed like he was just shooting strays at that guy.
Taking shots at him. Well, now you're past the point of talking. Now you have to fight. Now you have to put your money where your mouth is, and he has to do the same.
But he's not the one who started singing a different tune. You did.
And I think it's because you're nervous. It's because as the fight date approaches, you're shrinking in the moment.